welcome today. Thanks, Apinder, for hopping on. I know this is our second session. Good having you. Today, we will focus in on process improvement. And so, frankly to speak, when to change and when to chill, right? So, this is process, and we understand that not all processes require a makeover. We just need to make some minor improvements to make things better. So, want to focus in on just process improvement today, and we'll go from there. All right.
Absolutely. I too understand this is a very important aspect in any organization. So it's a critical topic for me as well, and something that I really enjoy.
Yeah. So I know that is hot topic for a lot of organizations. Speaking of, what's the biggest mistake organizations make around the process improvement? Any thoughts?
Yeah, actually, this is a big one, and I've seen it happen over and over again in many organizations I've worked for. So, the biggest mistake that I feel organizations often make is trying to fix the process without even understanding the problem. So they jump straight into mapping workflows, introducing new tools or tweaking steps, without even talking to people who actually are doing that work. So they end up improving something that wasn't even broken. In fact, they keep adding more layers to something that just needs simplification. So I always say, if you're redesigning a process sitting in a boardroom without even the voices of the frontline people, it's probably going to land not well. It's not going to land well, of course. So another mistake is over engineering, I say. So I've seen teams take simple problems and turn it into a 47 to 50 slide flowchart and 2-month rollout plan with 3 approval gates. When all they need is a very clearer handoff or a 5-minute sync between the teams. And let's not forget, nowadays, the obsession with automation. So sometimes a process doesn't need to be automated. It just needs to be eliminated or rethought altogether.
Yeah.
So before you improve anything, ask yourself 3 questions. First, do we really understand where the friction is? Second, have we involved the people closest to that pain point? And third, are we really solving the right problems or just polishing the outdated ones? Because real process improvement, according to me, isn't just about perfection. It's about making the work easier, faster, and more meaningful. And you can't do it from a distance without even understanding the true need for it.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. I wonder why organizations just kind of take the reactive approach versus being proactive, right? Do you have any thoughts around why organizations do this? They move so quickly without truly understanding what the process is that they need to change, right? Or engaging the correct people. Any thoughts around why people are reactive?
Yes, because I think they are too messed up. They're too messed up in their work. They're so occupied in their work, and teams are leading to burnout, and everyone, the churns are happening, and the people who really are skilled are moving out of the organization because the process is not smoother, and they're rather spending more time on the process, just following the process. I will say, just following the process rather than doing the actual work. That's where the teams get frustrated, and then they think, let's bring a process improvement person, let's get it fixed. And they think that it'll be a boom. Like, boom, it's going to be fixed. But that doesn't happen. It's a slow change that needs people's involvement, people's buy-in, and a lot of many things involved, right? So that's the thing, I think.
Thank you. I think that's great. And I think organizations need to hear, stop being reactive, right? Yeah. Take some time, pull the right people in, assess high level, and then put a plan in place. Thank you so much for that. Yeah. So how do you tell the difference between a broken process and a misunderstood one?
So I've seen so many teams call something a broken process when it really isn't. What it needs is, just to figure out what's happening and kind of improve it. So if something, so what, how I figure out in real time scenarios would be, if something is really painfully slow or clunky, the first instinct to assume the process is broken, right? So you need to pause and think and ask yourself, do we actually understand how this process works end to end? Because usually people only see the slice of the a slice, or the part where they're involved, right? So the actual frustration comes from lack of visibility. It's not the process is flawed, but because no one ever explained why it works that way. Now, on the flip side, a truly broken process can usually judged by three red flags, I say. And I've seen that in my journey very comprehensively. So, one, there are a lot of workarounds or loopholes that can be taken advantage of. So, you need to look for that. If that's the case, the process is flawed. Second, constant handoffs with confusion. Cross functional teams are just handing it off to another team, following the process, but without understanding the need for it, why they need to do it. The process is broken. Third, people are avoiding it altogether because it's costing a lot of time. Like I said before, teams are getting burned and they don't know why they're doing it. They just they want to avoid that kind of work, and they say, bring a process specialist who can do that.
Yes.
So, and the worst part, teams are relying on one person, the bottleneck, which I call. So,
Yes.
they think he has some kind of tribal knowledge and knows how to do it. So that's the biggest part, where I think, which can be seen as a red flag. And a quick example I'll give you from a journey, past journey. I once worked with a team who swore their approval process was broken. It took forever to get anything signed off. Yes. But when we mapped it out, the process actually made sense. It was just poorly communicated. People didn't know what and why they were, what and where they were bottlenecks. Once we added more visibility and accountability, the problem solved.
Perfect.
So so I always say, before you redesign a process, spend time understanding it through people who live it every day. Yeah. Ask them, where do you get stuck? What do you have to hack to get through it? What doesn't make sense? Sometimes all it takes is better communication, not a total re-engineering of the process. So a broken process needs to be fixed, but a misunderstood one, it just needs clarity and connection.
That's spot on. So I know from an experience that I've recently had, we have a wave of folks that are retiring, and processes are not documented. Recommendations that you have to make life easier for organizations that, first of all, we're overstaffed, we're over capacity, right? And so we don't have time to write things down, right? We may not have a technical writer. We may not have had that time. We started the document and we've just abandoned the document. Or we have cases where people have retired. They've been offered a retirement package and they've left the organizations. Any thoughts around an easier way for teams to document a process to make sure that it's not broken, or identify if it's broken, or to ensure that it's not misunderstood? So any thoughts there?
I've been into similar situation because I was working in an organization where this retirement plan had to start. And even before it had to start, it took about a year for the, sourcing team and the process improvement team together to draft that process and put it on the website clearly and, reach out to people separately. So I think we should the only thing is think way ahead. Like maybe if you are planning to introduce such program in your organization, think way ahead, what things are needed, sit with people who are actually involved with it, and draft clear things like what the process would call out. Maybe a small workflow, not a 47, 50 page document or a presentation like we make, but just a small, like just bullet points, draft it out, and then probably, set up the process or make it easier for people rather than making it difficult. Because even when people retire, they have to go through such, long process of, maybe some people, because I have worked with people who were working there for about 15 years, and they had to document, what projects they started with, what happened, and they didn't don't even remember that. So don't make it complicated for them. Make it think way ahead what is really required. Just touch base that, and make very simple for them.
Sure. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think it's another point too. Sometimes our human resources love human resources, but just making sure that we have, the other business units or value streams have visibility into their portfolio, right?
Yeah.
They may assume something as simple as a retirement plan or package or effort may not have impacts to other teams,
Yeah.
say IT, risk, whatever it may be. And we find out that Johnny
Yeah.
is retiring next week because he sat on this. He didn't want to be bombarded with questions, and the team is scrambling. So thank you so much for the guidance.
And
there.
nowadays, AI is there, so we can always
Yes.
take help of AI and quick draft some quick things and know everything like what is really required, and just draft your process around that and make it simple for people.
Correct.
Yeah.
Transcribing, right? That's another
Yeah.
time you sweeten the deal with the retiree, right? And you
Yeah.
ask questions, transcribing, document
Yeah.
that, have the
Yeah.
transcription, and we got a
Yes.
document or an SOP. So thank
Absolutely.
you.
Absolutely.
Yep. So, what are some quick wins you recommend for frustrated teams?
Oh, I love this question because I've been through it, and I really, love my teams, and I would like to work with people. As I said, I'm a very people friendly person. So, whenever, I think whenever the teams are very frustrated, they really don't need a 6 month strategy. They need hope and quick wins that can bring that spark back. So,
Yeah.
first thing I always say is start small and start visible. You know, pick up something that pick up something real that's slowing people down, not weighing on them, and fix that. Not the flashiest thing, the most useful one. So, for example, in one organization I worked with, teams were juggling updates across email, Jira, Slack, and it was a total chaos. So, our quick win for that was setting up one shared dashboard where everyone could see what's moving and what was stuck. Took less than a week, but the relief was instant. So, people felt in control and at ease, and that should be our goal. So, another easy win could be clarify handoffs. So many frustrations come from not knowing who's responsible for what. Even something as simple as a 15-minute handshake sync or a racy chart can lift up that mental load. Specifically, nowadays everyone has onshore offshore model. So maybe setting up a quick roster at the end of the week to prepare teams for the next week, or a simple daily handoff email if they are working on some critical tasks that particular week. These small things help collaboration. And another important thing I would say is recognizing the effort, and we often miss on that. That's a big one.
Yes. Yes.
So at one point, Shanta, I remember we actually started a small rewards and recognition platform. And it was not that HR did it. The HR did not do anything. We as business team, or, as a group, technical group, that particular technical group started that just to celebrate the progress, even the small wins of people around. So every month we'd recognize few folks across different teams, not only the loudest wins, but small meaningful ones. So sometimes it was just a shout out in front of the leadership in the steerco meetings, or the town halls that we organized. And other times it would be just a simple $50 to $100 gift card, or even a coffee voucher. But impact was really huge. People felt motivated. People, really felt seen, heard. So it's just like, hey, it's someone, sometimes it's just like, people feel that, hey, someone is noticing noticing that I'm pushing through it. So
Yes.
that can totally shift the energy of your team. So yeah, the frustrated teams don't start. For the frustrated team, don't start with a giant change roadmap. First of all, fix something that saves their sanity. Maybe a small gesture that reminds them they matter.
Yes.
Yeah. So that can, I think, turn the frustration into forward momentum.
I think that's great. Things like races,
Yeah.
recognitions in front of leaders, those
Yes.
things, gift cards, coffee, those
Yeah.
small things do matter. I know I've
Yeah.
seen some turnarounds from our team's perspective. So thank you for sharing. All
Thank you.
right. So this is a real talk question. So what's the hilarious process you once saw that made absolutely no sense?
Oh, yes,
So,
of course.
example, you needing three approvals to order coffee, right? So,
Yeah.
is there one that comes to mind?
Yeah, of course. I have many. And I think all of us have it, but we do not talk about it often. So, I remember I was working in a company where, we needed access to one folder and we required four different approvals to just get the access to that particular folder on SharePoint. So
Mm.
I'm not just kidding. I'm not kidding. I'll walk through the process what they had. First, you had to, if I remember, first you had to fill out a form. Then it went to the manager, then to someone in IT, then to someone from compliance. So,
Oh my
you know,
goodness.
yeah. So, it was so time consuming process, and by the time we got the access for that, the project was either already underway or the team already found a workaround around it using the Google Drive.
Yeah.
So so it's so, I don't have words to say for that, but it's so, I mean, stupid, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yep.
know? Yeah.
So what do you
So
think they could have done?
even HR had a faster approval process for the full to
Wow.
hire the full time employees than getting this
Wow.
access to a dang folder.
So, and the thing is, what if the one of those approval methods, what if they were on vacation? Or what if they just forgot, right?
Yeah.
So,
And those emails get
yeah.
lost somewhere because auto generated emails go to them, they get lost, and then you're pinging them on your teams and someone is not available, or someone will say, okay, I'll do it, but then they forget. And it's like after a week, when you had to read that contract, or basically it was about the contract that was placed there, so you have to read something and then you again ping them, and it's stupidity. So
Yeah, yeah. And I have to jump in because all of my identity and access management or customer identity and access management folks will come in and say, well, hey, we have to do access reviews on the folder. Or what if the folder had some sensitive material? I think
yeah.
sometimes it's too much when it could just be a file with just, public information, right? So
Yes.
we have to, really hone in on what's actually in the file. We can't just put a process in place just to
Yes,
say we have
absolutely.
it and making this painful for the team. So I totally agree.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
Thank you for sharing. Yep.
you can also have, those controls, like, just share to some key people or something.
Correct.
Make it ready for use for them. If you know a project manager is coming, or if someone who really needs that document is coming, you can give them access right away.
Right. Our delegated access,
Yeah.
right?
Yes,
So if
absolutely.
John is not available, it goes to Sarah. We don't want to
Absolutely.
stop that approval process. This could have been a,
Absolutely.
a major timeline,
Absolutely.
restriction. So got it. Thank you. All right. So our next question: when is it better to improve an existing process versus blow it up and start over?
Oh, this is a good one, and the very honest answer would be, it depends on whether the process is actually broken or just annoying. So let me
Yes.
share a real example with you, with Shanta. I was working with this company where the change control process was driving everyone nuts. And it was a
Yes.
huge transformation program. So, approvals were slow. People didn't know where the request was stuck. And executives were so frustrated because they weren't even getting the full picture when it was time to make a decision. So they were repeated cycles, okay, now we need this, because they have to see the bigger picture and how it's impacting the whole process. So it was really, not in control. So here's what we did. It was not completely broken, I would say. It had a structure, but it just lacked clarity, visibility, and speed. So instead of tearing it down, we focused on fixing what was missing. We consolidated everything into one place, built one SharePoint tracker where teams could submit and track change requests. We included details such as initial cost, the change order variance, and how to track the change request. And we also included 5-year term projections and how it's going to impact. So all those details, executives really like to see, and they really want to chase down. Instead of going into multiple loops, they could find everything at one place. So it was really, really a powerful system. It became a really powerful system for all of us. And we also, scheduled automated reminders, set up approval workflows. And the best part was leaders could approve requests right from the platform instead of going to the emails and finding that email and approving it. So no more email chains, no more who has the latest version of what kind of chaos. So it really worked out well, and approval time dropped drastically. And it became one of the most informed, data driven, efficient decision making process for all of us.
Great. That's great.
So, if you talk about this question, the thumb rule for me would be, if, how to judge it, the thumb rule would be, if the bones of the process are still good, improve it. But if the process was built for a version of your business that doesn't exist anymore, or, 5 years back, it used to be like that, something of that sort, it's probably time to start over again. Either way, the goal remains the same, which is to make life easier for people doing the work, more structured, clearer, and efficient.
Question for you. So you brought up a great point. Say to those people, I call them lifers, right? They've been around forever. I've been here for 20 years. This is the way we've always done those. How do you isolate those folks that are resistant to change because they have done the same thing for the last 20, 30 years, etc.?
Yes.
How do you isolate those? So is there an effort that you just kind of take them, put them on a bridge, showcase a new process? What do you do just to kind of come?
No, I would not do that. No, I would not do that, because that will make them more resistant towards the process. Or, like they'll feel like, something big is coming up and something is going to change our world now. So
Right.
what I really prefer is, talking to them one-on-one, making them feel involved. So
Yes.
I have faced this. The thing you said, I have really faced it in the transformation projects. So, like I said, you like retirement, like the retirement plan. There were people working for past 15 years and they were used to it. So, I personally set up one-on-one connects with them. And then after the one-on-one connects, trying to understand what they need, what the change they feel should come in. And then, just suggest, like, maybe if we do something like this, I think to make them really realize what's in for them, how it's going to impact them, not just the business.
Right.
So, and then hold on. And then afterwards, like, for example, one department, after talking one-on-one, I'll hold one. It is a time consuming process, I know, but you need to put in that effort to bring that change. And so that they don't resist the change, they're part of change. Then you organize one meeting for one separate department or a cross-functional team, and then bring them together. And, you say, okay, this is what we discussed. I think I had one-on-ones with you. And this is something that I've come across. What do you think on that?
I think it's great. But I have to ask you this. what if I'm a new PM? I'm assigned to an effort and and I schedule that one-on-one with someone that has been with the organization for 15 years. And they just go through the list of everything that they hate about the process.
I
What
know.
would you tell to a new PM, right? How would you
Yes.
advise
They come
them?
up with their own problems,
Yes.
they're not happy with the vendor. I have
Right.
been through. So
I used to see blue, now I see purple, fine. What
I
would you
know.
say to a new PM, right?
Yeah. So to handle those kind of scenarios is just to calm them down and,
Yes.
and say like, uh, though I understand these issues, but as compared to what we are, what our priorities are now, maybe we can execute, we can think on it a little later, but we'll come back to that. But let's focus on this part. And
Of
then they
course.
do get
Yes.
irritated a little bit, but then you again touch base with them and say, I hear out. See, I already have got this list. This is the second list, and this is the first list. So let's prioritize in the first list, and then we'll come to the second. So this gives them
Yes.
confidence that yes, we are working on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed. Thank you so much. So let me ask you this. What's your favorite simple framework for diagnosing process issues? Just something simple, something short.
Okay. So let me keep it very simple. As we discussed in some of the previous questions, I think it's a human behavior that whenever a process is broken, everyone just jumps to fix it fast.
Mhm.
But if you don't diagnose it right, you end up fixing the wrong thing. So for me, one of my favorite simple frameworks for diagnosing process issues is what I've always called 3 V's. So I always use 3 V's check-in process. The first being visibility, second velocity, and third value. So let me explain what I mean by that, because many would not know this. This is my own created thing. So by visibility, I mean how transparent things are. So the first thing I analyze is, can people actually see what's going on? Like I talked in some of my previous questions, visibility and transparency. Okay, are things transparent? Are tasks transparent? Are we able to fetch clear statuses? Or is everyone working in silos, constantly asking, where are we on this? Kind of chaos. So if people are in dark, the problem might not be the process. It's just lack of the visibility and transparency across. The second is velocity, by which I mean speed. How fast is work moving through the process? Like we shared in one of the funniest examples that we shared, we don't have to create the loopholes. We need to find out where things are getting stuck. Is there a particular approval step or a handoff that's slowing thing down? Or, just look for that traffic jam moment, because that's where you'll find the bottleneck or unnecessary complexity that is causing it. The last being value. But this is really important, because now people focus on value, and we talk about enterprise agility. Organizations have moved a lot, and they are value driven organizations. So we need to diagnose if this process is actually adding value, or are we just doing it because, like you said, this is how it's been always. So
Yes. Yes.
sometimes teams are running weekly status meetings which no one needs, or maybe collecting the data that no one uses, just spreadsheets.
Yes.
And if you're not delivering the value to the customer or a team, it's probably time to rethink.
Right.
I've used this 3 V's approach in everything from, agile teams to PMOs to enterprise transformation efforts. And it's very simple, but very effective. So once you check for visibility, velocity, and value, you're not just looking at what's broken. You're ready to see why it's not working. And that's where real improvement begins.
Yeah. I love the traffic jam moment. I actually see myself at a light and I see all these things going on. So that, thank you for the visual. So I have a question. You mentioned human behavior for visibility, velocity, and value.
Mhm.
Do you think there's any room for AI in within these three?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. AI can play a great role in that. Because every organization is using Jira or Miro, Asana, or any project management tool you're using. Because be it a small effort or a big initiative, everyone is using the project management tool nowadays. And if we use AI, connect the AI with that, and we are able to see where the project is, what is getting stuck, what even, and I think it's a great risk predictor, as I mentioned in my last session. So, if we get the visibility on those things, most of the things will be resolved. Then for the value thing, we know maybe we can make some KPIs. I haven't spoken about this in these sessions, but I give sessions on enterprise agility where I speak about all those outcome driven models. So you set up some KPIs and map those things with your AI that is, attaching to that project management tool. That can
Right.
really give you a very clear path and a direction, and suggest you, maybe if we do this, it can impact like that. So
Okay.
this will drive more value. Then velocity, I spoke about. Velocity is speed. Of course, you'll be able to see, AI can see, like the risk predictor thing I spoke about. You can see how fast teams are moving, because sometimes the teams are moving really fast, but they're focusing on the wrong things.
Correct.
So,
Yep.
so all those things, AI can really, really help with that.
Yeah. All right. So our next question is fun. So how do you make process improvement fun instead of feeling like extra work?
Oh, I love this question. And I'm glad you asked it. So, the moment teams hear the word process improvement, most of them think, oh, great. So, another phase of more work, more
Correct.
documentation, more
Yeah, yeah,
meetings. So, they get like kind of pissed off. Okay, what to do now? But we
yep.
have to do it. So, the key here is you got to flip the script. You need to make it feel like progress, not a punishment for them, first of all. So, one of the things I found that really works well is turning process improvement into a team challenge, not a top down task.
Mhm.
Because someone from leadership said that you have to do this, we are moving towards process improvement, or generating another process for you. So instead of saying words like, let's redesign the workflow like we've usually seen the organizations, let's tweak the language and say, what's one thing that's slowing you down every week? Try to learn from them. And where you think, what are the things that we fix will impact. So all those questions, will really keep the people engaged, and they'll think that they're part of solution. So they're not being handed a new process, they are co-creating it with you. So I've also seen, celebrating quick wins visibly really, it really makes them feel heard. So I remember we'd run something like, fix a Friday or something hack of the month, I think. I don't remember now, but I think it was hack of the month or fix the Friday, something kind of every Friday we used to do it. So, if someone, and we would ask very openly, if someone has a better way to do something, share your best practices and share your opinions with us. So, and then if they share something and which is really worth it and can bring the change, we'll give them a Slack badge, or maybe we'll just give them a coffee voucher or Starbucks voucher. So it created a vibe for them, like kind of it's really cool rather than being a pressure for them. So, nothing gets buy-in like saying, hey, remember when we used to wait for 5 days for that particular approval? Now just take one. Now it just takes one. So that kind of real measurable improvement feels good. It motivates people. So at the end of the day, making process improvement fun is about making it useful, visible, and team driven. So, people will really find it helpful when they see what's in for them rather than seeing what's in for the business.
Yeah. Yep.
So once that energy shifts, I think everyone would like to be involved and the resistance will be less.
Yes. So I have to say this. What do we do for those people? Now we've gotten this fun effort, these team challenges started. Now you know that there will be some people that will go under rocks. They're going to talk about all the process improvements throughout the organization. I don't know if there's a such thing as a process improvement scope or creep. What do you think about those folks? How do you handle process improvement creep from that perspective? So you have an effort, process improvement for a particular area. There is someone that brings the long list of enterprise issues. What do you say to how would you handle someone like that?
So the first thing would be calming them down and making them feel heard. Listen to them calmly, first of all. Instead of, just saying, no, this is what we are doing now, forcing the decision, forcing what we want to do. Listen them calmly. Maybe some things, if you think something is part of your process improvement right now, focus on that. Yes, we're going to improve that. And some things do correlate. That has been my prior experience. So you pick up something like, okay, so the thing that you talked about, XYZ, we are also focusing on that, but in a different manner. Okay. And then make them understand the long-term impact of things. And then create a separate, like I said before, create a separate, document, prioritize it. Say, okay, so I understand I hear out. So, don't just give them back to them in the first meeting. Then no, we're not going to do it. Say, okay, so I send me your inputs, we'll take a look, we'll come back to you. In the next meeting, go and say, okay, we understood, and I feel that some of your problems are related to some things that we are going to start working immediately. So this is the list that we're going to start working. However, we do hear out your other problems, and we have kept in the list in the list that comes after this. So we'll do it. So let's work on what are your opinions on the things that we are going to do now. We really need your input because I feel you give really good inputs, or I value your inputs. Make them feel heard, listened. So I think they'll understand that gradually.
Thank you. I think that's good. Mm-hmm. So just side note, I think you've answered how do you bring skeptics along. So I'm going to skip that question, and then we'll make this last question. You've kind of linked that, throughout your question. So I'll ask number 8. That'll be our last question. All right.
Sure.
You good with that? Okay, yes. Perfect. All right. Our last question for the podcast, right? So what's the danger of improving too many processes at once? I've seen this. I am so eager to hear your thoughts on this. This is an amazing question, though.
And this actually hits home,
Yes.
I can feel it. So, yeah. And I've seen it happen to way too many times too, like you said. So, you get into organization, everyone's excited about making things better, bigger, and suddenly, there are 10 different process improvement efforts happening all at once. New templates, new tools, new workflows, and people are like, wait, which version do we even use? Which is the latest one?
Right.
So I get it. So, it's like trying to renovate every room in the house at the same time, and you end up living in a mess, and nothing gets finished properly, and everyone is just stressed out. So,
correct.
So I saw this play out when I was working with a client as part of the enterprise PMO. So we were tasked with improving delivery process across the multiple hubs. And surely that was the easiest thing for us to do. Just roll out one size fits all thing approach at once. but we chose, to go slow because we really didn't want to overwhelm people because that would backfire on us. So we closely worked with that team with one hub at a time, I think. So we started with one hub. We figured out where the friction was and helped people streamline things from reporting to approvals to overall workflow. The goal was to make their day simpler, like their day-to-day tasks simpler, how their day looks like, juggling between the tasks. So to make all those things simple. And we just ask them simple questions like, what is something that is slowing you down? What do you think can really help you move up the needle? So we started with all that, and we worked with one hub. I remember, instead of forcing the new tools or new things, we try to understand them. And then we, gradually, once everything looked smoother, and, I remember we brought Asana at that time. And it was a tough decision because people were resistant to move from MPP to Asana. But basically, it was from moving from one tool to another. When we introduced that new tool, that new project management tool, we chose that tool because not all people are technical. So we chose a tool that everyone could make sense, and there was a return to home, like program going on because it was after 2020 COVID thing. So return to offices kind of a program, return to hub kind of programs that were going on. So not everyone was technical. The teams involved were not technical. So we chose a tool that made sense to them, where they could see the clear instructions, and we had to work in an agile manner. So we tried to explain it all to them, and it also had some customized dashboards that would clearly show the results. Any chief marketing officer or any chief information officer could anytime log in and see those customized dashboards on where we are with the progress, which team has what, and how many sprints we've completed, what is the velocity, everything. So it was a huge success for us. And after that, one hub really liked it, and processes became a little efficient and things looked much smoother. We moved on to that another hub. And then it was very easy for us because we showed those hubs how they are, how the transformation has been, what things have been smoothened out. We showed them dashboards. We had, the word went out from different teams who were not technical also, and they could really, like, once they share something, it makes an impact to other teams as well. So the other hubs were excited to use it, and it became a little easier for us. And that's how we rolled out everything hub wise. And then, we really made a huge impact as enterprise PMO there. And I think 35% of 35% of the extra cost that was going in handling their own PMOs, because everyone had their own PMOs at that time, that reduced. So it was and of course operational efficiency improved. I don't remember the exact percentage, but we recorded it something. So it really improved, drastically improved. So my answer, coming back to the question, so my answer would be, start small, prove it is working, and grow from there. You'll get the real buy-in, and the changes, focus on changes that actually stick.
Thank you. Thank you, Apinder Bedi. Thank you so much. This has been an amazing talk on process improvement.
Thank you so much.
Looking forward to our next session. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.